Welcome back to another video, guys. It is officially the end of the season here in New England. Last week I did my last mow, and today I'm doing my last leaf cleanup. Getting the leaves off the lawn before the snow comes because that's right around the corner. So today I wanted to take a second and talk about winterizing your equipment. If you're down south, you're not really going to winterize it unless you're storing it for maybe 30 days or longer without using it. But up in New England, some of our mowers, trimmers, blowers, they're gonna sit all winter without being used. So there's basically three schools of thought that I know of when it comes to winterizing your equipment. One is to not do anything, to just run your equipment through the summer season and then just let it sit. And I'll be honest, I've done this in the past and I haven't really had any issues, but you may find that over the years, your equipment will start to run a little bit rougher and they may be harder to start. That may be attributed to the gas just sitting in the equipment for that long. Inside of an engine, whether it's your mower or trimmer, there's a lot of little holes, especially in the carburetor, and over time, those holes can get plugged with the gunk that kind of builds up in gas when it sits for a while. That's kind of my non-scientific way of describing that. But basically, the first school of thought is just to do nothing. And a lot of people do this. Maybe it's the lazy man's way out. Maybe you don't have time, but if you want to take the next step and put a little more care into the equipment that you've invested in for your lawn, you can pick up a stabilizer. In this case, I have Sta-Bil. There's other brands. Just go to your big box store or your local hardware store and you can pick up some stabilizer. Now this is basically fuel stabilizer. I have the storage type of the Sta-Bil. You can use, they have a couple of different kinds. The storage one will keep gas up to 24 months. The non-storage one is 12 months. In either case, I'm gonna run my equipment before that time, so I'm not really worried about that. But the important thing here is to put this in your gas maybe before your last mow of the season or your last in my case, I'm gonna do this before I do my last leaf cleanup in my blower. And what you wanna do is put this in fresh gas. So what I've got here, this is my 2-cycle mixed, this is my regular gas. And the best way to go about this is to fill these up fresh and then read the back of your stabilizer. Sometimes it's 1 ounce per gallon. In this case, it's 1 ounce per 2.5 gallons. So do the math, that's 30 milliliters per 2.5 gallons. So in my case, each of these are a gallon, so I'm gonna divide 30 by 2.5, and that's about 12 milliliters per gallon. So what you do is they work these really nice, so you can squeeze and fill up this canister right here, and it gives you the ounce readings and the milliliter readings, at least in this brand. And so what you can do is you squeeze the stabilizer into there, to get about 12 milliliters in there. It's about that much. And we'll add this to the 2-cycle mixed and the regular. And then what I'm gonna do is fill up my blower and run that through while I clean my lawn up for the last time. And what that is gonna do is help cut down on the gasoline going bad as it sits. And in this case, this stabilizer is good to use in both 2-cycle mixed and regular gasoline. It's good for any of that. So I use it in both, and that's the simple way, right? You just add it to the 2, do your last mow, do your last trim, leaf cleanup, whatever it is that you're putting it in the equipment, run it through. You want to run it for at least 5 minutes after you've put the stabilized gas into it. And that'll be enough time for it to circulate through all of the parts of the engine and keep the gas from gumming up while your equipment sits. Now, the third way here is to follow the manufacturer's recommended winterizing steps. And they go a step further. For example, in the case of the mower, the manufacturer recommends emptying the gas out, running it till it stops, and then running it, trying to start it again until you know that the engine's free of gas. Taking the spark plug out, putting a few drops of oil in there, pulling the engine to circulate that oil through, and then just putting the spark plug, resting it back in there. They recommend a few other steps in there. So if you want to go that extra mile and follow what the manufacturer recommends, you're welcome to. There's no harm in doing that. But in my experience, I've never followed the manufacturer recommendations and I've never had any issues with running my equipment the next year. So to recap, Method 1, do nothing. Method 2, the simple method, use some stabilizer, throw that in some fresh fuel. If you add it to old fuel, it's not gonna freshen the fuel. And the third way is to follow the manufacturer's recommendations, and you will find that in your owner's manual for whatever lawn equipment you're winterizing. Now you might be wondering why the energy drink? Well, has nothing to do with the equipment. It only has to do with me and keeping me energized while I get the leaf cleanup done. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, throw them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them, and I'll talk to you guys next time.